Hey there, my name is Guido Piquet, and I'm the host of the Ophthalmology Experience podcast powered by Boost Patients. This is the ASCRS ASOA edition. This year, we decided to record a few podcasts on the vendor floor. Today's guest is Nick Sideris. He's the managing director of iAdvisor. Let's see how the conversation went. What's up, Nick?
How's it going?
How are you doing? Thanks for joining the podcast. Good to finally meet you in person. We've had a couple Zooms, so great to connect. And I know you're doing a lot of cool things. Hopefully, I can pick your brain a little bit, and you can tell me. So, first of all, the show. You got any big expectations for the week? I know today's Friday, so we're a little early. What are some of the things you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, really grateful. I'm speaking on a few different platforms, which is really nice, and just kind of sharing insights on what we're seeing inside of practices via AI. I know we're going to talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, hey, I really want to see, because obviously AI is a big talk of the show and ophthalmology
at every booth.
Everything, yes. And so, but I really think there's a difference between like what is cool AI versus useful AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's noise versus signal. So just because something can be automated itself and then they slap the AI banner on it doesn't mean it's either. Maybe it is AI, but is it actually moving the needle in whatever that is? It could be workflows, it could be calls, it could be text, it could be what we do with like consults. So that's what I'm most focused on for the show.
Okay. So tell me, because I'm still getting to know you. Tell me about your background. So how did you get into ophthalmology? And then kind of how did the journey take you from where that was from where you are today?
Yeah, great question. So I've been in ophthalmology for 15 years. And the reason I know the date is because it was on my honeymoon. So it's really easy.
Oh, really? Did you get a job offer in your honeymoon?
No.
Oh.
But I remember I was doing marketing for plastic surgeons prior to this. And plastic surgeons do a lot of really great things. But like from a marketing perspective, it's mainly like the aesthetic, and it just didn't align with me personally.
Sure.
I think I want to do something different. And one of my good friends in Des Moines, Iowa, his dad's an ophthalmologist, and he's like, "You ever considered LASIK?" He's like, "Oh, no." So I just remember being on my honeymoon. I was reading some business books, and I was like, "I think I'm going to get into ophthalmology." That was my planting the flag. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So we started a marketing agency. It was really small, and then I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. My wife's from Michigan. We moved to Detroit.
Yeah.
Got on the radar of what was AMO at the time. And they said, "Hey, would you be interested in being what was called a business development manager, which is essentially like a business consultant for practices?" I'd never set foot in a practice before. And so it was a very out-of-box hire for them because all my colleagues were women who had spent 20-ish years as an administrator.
Right.
And at that time, it was like millennials and digital marketing is new. And so I did a Facebook Live like in 2016, and I was like a wizard to these people, So it was awesome.
Yeah.
And so then AMO obviously spun out to J&J, and I did that for 6 years, covered a 17-state territory. So I got to see the good, bad, and the ugly.
And it was that consulting?
Yes. So my role for J&J was we would analyze phones, like what's your phone conversion inside the practice. We would shadow consults and give advice, like how are you doing inside the practice. And then I would just analyze their marketing and give them ideas, like that Facebook Live example. And then after 6 years, I moved back to Des Moines. They eliminated my position, and I was like, okay, this is what I wanted to do anyway. And so went back to my own agency. And I've done that up until recent. And then that's what birthed iAdvisor out of.
Awesome. So you mentioned you did the consulting, and it's funny you said ladies 20 years as administrators, because that was kind of my thought too. It's like, how does somebody from a marketing company that hasn't done it, come in and give advice on how to do it well? So can you talk about, because I think when you talk about iAdvisor, I'm sure there's baseline behaviors, there's baseline things that your surgery counselor should be saying as you try to mold them into having a better conversation with the patient. So where did you get your baseline from?
Yeah, great question. So my first week, I remember they said, "Hey Nick, this is going to be your territory," and I'm like, "I've never shadowed a consult before." And then they also sent me to Vance Thompson's, and I actually saw him earlier today, and I was like, "Hey, 15 years ago, you were my first cataract procedure I had ever
that's
witnessed."
A pretty good benchmark.
Yeah, exactly. And then they shipped me to outside of my territory again to shadow consults to listen to what a consult is. I had the job, had no idea what a consult was. And I'm sitting there shadowing and listening. And then 15 minutes in, I was like, oh, this is just a sales conversation. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah, it had all the bones of a sales conversation.
Exactly.
But just the nuances of what happens was key.
So once I realized, once that clicked to me, I was like, oh, like I know sales, like this, and I know sales is the dirty word. So we always describe it as conversion. Of course, we want to educate and make the right, choices there. But that's what shifted everything was realizing it's just sales.
So I'm sure you saw a ton of, maybe as you did your consulting, you saw a lot of different people do it. And I'm sure you saw some good and some not so good. And then, so is your program basically taking bits and pieces of your experience, maybe things that you've seen, and kind of Frankenstein this perfect counselor?
Yes. So, well, I think this will be a good chance to like describe what we do at iAdvisor.
Yeah, I'd like to understand that. That's a good. You knew the answer before I asked the question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So iAdvisor is an AI enhanced consultation system, and so we do three things. It's AI, and what I mean by that is, so when the conversation is happening live in the office, the counselor hits the start button. The software is listening to the conversation, and then typically, depending on their setup, there's a little pop-up in the corner of the screen that's telling the counselor what to say next to increase premium conversion.
Okay, so you got to have a privacy screen or do it this way.
Most practices, it's usually like dual monitor, and then you and I are squared up. So it makes sense from that perspective. There's other workflows we can adjust for, we can discuss. So that's the first part is AI. The second part is coaching. So to your point, I hired a gal named Cindy Kaler. She worked at a practice that I worked with at J&J 10 years ago. And she was there for 10 years, left on her own accord. And she was an 85% consult conversion. She's lights out. And I knew, I was like, I got to hire her for something if she ever leaves. She left. She's our director of conversion enablement. What that means is she is analyzing all the data and consults. And then she's also giving advice and coaching. So now she's able to coach at scale because we have all these consults listened to, and then she can work with them from there. Is
she coaching the model, or is she coaching the actual sales?
Great question. Both. Yeah. Okay. So she's directly working with those counselors, but then she is coaching the model, and because she'll spot stuff like, of course, like I've seen a lot of practices and a lot of consults, but I've never sat in the chair. I mean, I've helped, but I've never like actually done it full time. Doing yeah. So she sees things in a way different vantage point that I do, and the advice that she gives is incredible. And we're now feeding that into our model to just make it like a super Cindy.
So in theory, it should continue to improve.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, and then the last is data. So now we have data across a bunch of different practices in different parts of the country, but also for the practice, they can scan on theirs and they can see like, okay. So what I shared in one of my last talks was we can now tell like how often is the counselor even asking for the close, and you'd be shocked like if there's like 50% ask rate, and it's like, well, of course they're not going to convert. You're not even asking them. So that's just one of about 30 different data points that we have.
So what about the counselor? What's their level of responsibility? Like, do they have to kick it off? Do they have to interact with it real time with the patient? Because I can see how an inexperienced counselor might get flustered, like somebody's telling them, hey, and they're like, So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we do have counselors on all the spectrum. And honestly, when we first launched last October, we were like, hey, this is an AI SaaS, software as a service. And we were bumping into that issue of adoption. And it's like, number one, are they going to use it? Number two, do they think we're just surveilling them? This is like Big Brother.
I thought that too. Yeah.
And then number three, are those coaching cues distracting? Mm-hmm. So when we brought Cindy on, again, she's lived that, and she kind of goes, peer to peer to them, and it's like, hey, if I had this would be amazing. Mm-hmm. I did this job for 10 years. I know what you're going through. I listened to your consult. Here's what I found out. Try this next time, and then let's connect next week and see how it went. So, but then also we're now incentivizing. So, some practices are incentivizing their team on just using it. Like, hey, if you use it for X amount of days, or for X amount of consults, 90% of your consults you get, that's part of their comp plan.
Sure.
And we have practices now that implemented that, and they are celebrating 100% conversion days. And they're slapping high fives. We'll send a Starbucks gift card, and nice. But the interesting thing when Cindy's working with them, she'll just tell them point blank, your doctor, your manager, they don't have time to listen to these recordings. I'm literally the only one listening, and I'm here to help you. So let's do this together. And that just throws off all the, the barriers, and it's been really cool because they go home and tell their spouse hey, I'm using AI at work, So it's actually that's been a 180 for us.
That's very cool. So in order for you to scale, do you have to so whenever you talk to the counselors, I'm sure that you have to hire more Cindy, their name said? Yep. You have to hire more Cindy's. Is that the plan as you grow?
Yeah, exactly. And so we're trying to determine right now what is the number of customers to Cindy.
Sure.
But we're building executive reports and agents to help make her job really scalable.
Yeah.
But she's, right now her bandwidth has actually been pretty good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Hey, this is Boost Patients with a short break from your podcast. We are here to help you book more consults, and we do that by reaching out to your patients super fast and effectively through several different forms of communication to make sure we touch base with them when they're thinking about you and convert your consults at a higher level, getting patients in the door so that you can continue to grow your revenue. We are here and excited to help you. Take a look at our website, boostpatients.com. Book a time to meet with us so we can learn about your practice and how we can work together. We look forward to speaking to you. And now, back to your podcast.
So let's talk about the data, because you said it's calculating or accumulating data. So I'm sure, how many more or less consults has it listened to?
Actually, I just looked at it this morning. There's 3,400 consults in there.
3,400. Okay.
And then we calculate revenue. There's 11.7 million in revenue in it.
Yeah, so I think that's enough to start getting some trend data.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're seeing, like the counselors that do a good job and close, and the ones that don't? What are some of the trends?
Yeah, great question. So the biggest objection is needs more time.
Which is really not needs more time.
Correct. It's a smokescreen. And so what our coaching reports, our executive summary will say, needs more time is number one. Mm-hmm. That's a smokescreen for price. That's a smokescreen for confusion. We've just given them too much information. That's an excuse for spouse support.
Fear.
Fear, exactly. So we need to teach our team when they say, I just need to I need more time, I need to think about it. And then we need to give them the ammunition. So the best ones are saying, hey, empathize, totally understand. Take as much time as you need. Obviously, people ask a bunch of questions and they go online. We want to be your source of truth. So I don't want you to leave without any question at all. Is there anything that's stopping you today that you need to talk through?
Yeah.
And so we just want to pull out the hidden objection. So in sales, what I would say is, side note, I used to love to interview for jobs. It's a weird
good for you, man.
Yeah, I used to love it. So I remember when my interview with J&J, the last question was, okay, based on everything that we've talked about today, is there any reason that you wouldn't want to move forward?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it was, and then they pulled out, your experience. And so I overcome that because it was a hidden objection that he didn't let me know about.
Sure.
And so it's okay, besides more time, is there any other reason that you wouldn't want to move forward with a premium lens? And then we can pull out the real objection. So that's what the best counselor is doing, but that's what the data is telling us that they need to do more of.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that. So can you share any data you've seen in terms of improvement? Like some of the practices you're working with, like conversion, where they started and where do they end up?
Yeah. So we have our first 90-day case study, and it's a 9-counselor practice. And on the premium cataract side, when they started with us, they were at 29% conversion was their baseline.
To LASIK specifically?
So to premium cataract.
To premium cataract.
Yeah, so they chose a premium lens 29% of the time. 9 counselors. So that was their average.
That's not horrible.
Yeah, I've seen worse.
Yeah.
Our team worked with them. Month 1, it was at 31%. So they're just kind of getting used to using it. Month 2, 34. So it's like, okay, we're ticking up. That was the time we hired Cindy, and she jumped in and assisted. And then month 3, so the 90-day mark, they're at 43% conversion. So if you do the math on that, at 1,000 eyes a year, that's an extra 560K. The second one that's exciting that we're going to talk about tomorrow, so I'm doing a talk with Lisa Lindquist from Milwaukee Eye. So she was customer number 1 because in Milwaukee is where my co-founder lives. So he could go into the practice, work, see how they're using it, make adjustments. And I explained it to her because I knew her well from my time at J&J. And I said, hey, listen, we built this thing. We want to help you do better, increase premium conversion. She said, we don't want to be salespeople. We just want to educate. And it's like, all right, that's fair.
Yeah.
She called me about a week later and said, I talked to the team. We do want to try it. So we did it. And she said, I just wanted a really good patient experience and I wanted data. And she said, now I have a really good customer experience and data. Oh, and I'm up 8% in my premium conversion.
How long did that take?
They did that. So we started we started in like July, but it was really janky at the beginning. It was our MVP. So that's probably within the last about 4 or 5 months.
Nice.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I think it's up like multiple 6 figures. So
nice. So what about the doctor? Because there's a lot of variables of why a patient moves forward or not. In my experience, a doctor that presents clear recommendations, presents confidence, it makes that salesperson's job. Basically, they're a scheduler.
Yes.
Of course.
Right.
So have you ever thought about, I see you have a Plod device on you.
Yep.
I've seen a use case where somebody put a Plod device in an exam room and it listened to a provider.
Yep.
And then afterwards gave him some suggestions on here's what you could have done differently. So have you ever considered the provider side of the equation?
Absolutely. And we do have some already using it.
Okay.
So the way it's used right now for us is, let's say they're in the lane and they've got their desktop computer there. They'll just hit the start. It listens to that conversation. Now, doctor's not using coaching cues. They're all, so we can actually shut those off, which we can shut them off for counselors that find them distracting.
Yeah.
And then it's called a 2-phase. So we can even do 3-phase, where then they hit stop recording. Then the counselor will pick it up in the other room, and they've got all the notes and the recommendation of what the doctor has said is already pulled up for them. So yes, what you said for the Plod is, so it's like a lapel mic. And what we're going to use it with, because right now I have seen the practices that are using it, and then it'll just like pull all the recordings and all the notes into a system. It's not really categorized super well or split in a way that like makes sense from a coaching perspective. So we are going to be, I think we have a meeting with them next week, and we'll be one of the first companies to actually integrate with them. And what that means is they'll be wearing it. They push the button, hit say Susie Smith, say patient's name, walk in the room, do everything as normal, and then the data will come into iAdvisor as well. So my big joke is it's the police body cam for conversion.
Just don't know.
Because everybody can wear it.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that would probably address some of the concern of compliance from the sales teams, right? Because you got to make it a little easier, hopefully, for them to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. And obviously people will be like, oh, I forgot to push the button. Oh, I forgot to turn it off. We'll bump into that, of course, but so that's we're trying to just like lower the objections and barriers of entry.
So I just thought of something. I'm going to give you a free idea, and if it works, you got to remember little guys. Okay. So these companies are working on their AI scribes, and they're loading them into ophthalmology. Go to these big companies and say, hey, I've already got the software and you're already listening. let's integrate and buy my product.
Yeah.
Or kick me back some, Nick. Come on, man.
For sure. For sure.
It's recorded, so you can't say you didn't.
I love it.
Right, because we're talking about AI scribe, and there's going to be a lot of devices that are listening.
Yeah.
So think about applications for that.
Ironically, we do have a scribe component already, but we're not integrated with any EMRs. So the way it works is like this: the notes pop out, and they just hit copy, and then they paste it wherever they want. So
but I mean, from a recording access perspective, these companies, the EMR companies, are marketing tons of money to get providers to do it, and they want to do it because it's sexy.
Yep.
If you could just bolt on the listening and coaching technology to that, it's huge idea,
for
man.
Sure. All right, we're gonna owe you a commission check.
Yeah. So what's next for you, other than continue to roll out the product? Is this like your sole focus, what you're working right now? You just want to take over the world and help us make LASIK great again?
Yeah, I mean that's a big focus. Like obviously we still have the agency, so like that's our legacy product that's been doing well and it's stable for like Chad that we'll be meeting with. I've worked with him for 6-7 years or so. But the big focus is eye advisory. So we really want to help patients. Like the thing that like LASIK, refractive, we're in a stressed market right now, and a lot of it is consumer confidence. And it's like, what do we do? And you're gonna have the same staff, less patients. We have to use white glove for every single patient because we just don't have as many. It's not 2021; they're just falling in the door. So we want to make sure that if we can help our customers increase their conversion, so then that way, like revenue wise, they can be up even. That's a massive opportunity in a down market.
So before we stop the recording, so all the stuff that you've seen so far, all the data from your clients, if there's any practices that are Nick, give us just one free tip. If we want to talk to our sales counselors about a way for them to improve that consult, what would be the top one for you?
I would say ask lifestyle questions. It's super basic, but we now have proven that nobody does it. And when your average consultation is 12 minutes, they're just pushing them through. This is like, it's not cattle. Like we've identified counselors that are just a warm body, and it's just a job to them. And it's like, listen, like take the time with the patient, get to know them. Like, what do you do? And then give them like the recommendation based on their lifestyle. My mom is a CPA, had cataract surgery 2 years ago. She's still working. So like that, she's not knitting. She's not playing golf. Like she needs that intermediate. Like what's best for her? Like we got to find that out.
And we got to understand what that is, right?
And I think, the second thing, this was drives me nuts, is my co-founder, his mom just went to go have a consult, and she came back, she called her son, and she's like, hey, I went to have a cataract consult. Don't you work in eyes? He's like, yes, mom. And he's like, you need to do like this lens, like light adjustable, like, and she's like, they said nothing of that. And so there's so many practices. And if she didn't know what her son did or whatever, it wasn't her son,
she would have been offered a monofocal and that's it.
And done. And just forced to be in readers forever.
Yeah, there's too many people who make assumptions that can't afford it.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
Finally.
Yeah.
Can't wait to have a beer with you later on today.
Yeah. Totally.
We'll catch up more. You'll give me some off-screen stuff that we can take.
Awesome.
So appreciate it. Good to have you, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Guido.
All right.
Cool.